It's a good question. I think this is best if Bill, you will start answer that. If political Islam teaches that it has a divine sanction to enslave non-Muslims, and that the history of political Islam is full of slave trading and owning Africa, Europe, India, and other places, including to some places still until today, how we can educate people, how people can be educated about the connection between political Islam and slavery over the last 1,400 years, including Muhammad's life. Bill wrote a great book.
I wrote a book, yeah.
I'm having it somewhere here. It's specifically about slavery. We'd like to actually, Bill, it will be interesting to hear how you came to the idea that you will make a specific book about slavery, because one of the Bill's books in the level 2, it's specifically about slavery. It's like self-standing from all of the 26 publications you did. It's something had to tackle you when you studied the doctrine.
Well, part of the reason I dealt with the part on slavery in particular was in the United States, there was a civil rights movement, which in the late 60s I was part of. I was one of the leaders. And I was not an important person, but nevertheless, I was part of the resistance. And the other thing is I taught for 10 years at a Black university, not all Black, but primarily. And I began to realize that no one understood the history of slavery. Now, Blacks are very sensitive to the slave issue, but they knew nothing. The official policy of the university in terms of its curriculum is that slavery started when evil white men on wooden ships brought slaves from Africa to the United States and South America. So I was interested in showing them that this was simply not the case. So I was, if you will, sensitized to the issue of slavery in the sense of I had studied it, I've politically been a part of the movement. And so that was what tweaked my interest. Mm-hmm. Oddly enough, I'm the first person who's ever written a book on the doctrine of slavery. You would think it would be well known, but almost no one knows this. One of the most amusing things I did was to count how many different words mean slave in Arabic. And I forget the exact number now, but it's over 40.
We would definitely like to go into more deeper education and research about the slavery of political Islam, of all the non-Islamic civilization and the individuals. I remember when we were presenting subject of political Islam, we were in Iceland, yeah. And I remember that we were sitting there. Bill was there online on Skype, I think, at the time, and I was there in person, and we were a whole of people, and we were presenting the subject of political Islam. And actually, by the dinner, the people said to us that actually they have songs about the Icelandic ladies being kidnapped into the sexual slavery. So imagine Iceland was one of the places they had it actually wrong because they didn't know who the people are who did it. So, but it was actually from, I believe it was from North Africa was happening, that the ships were coming and taking the sex slaves from Iceland there. But yeah, it was an interesting thing how far actually it went, but nobody thinks about slavery when you think about Iceland. But it's a part of the national, it's like cultural songs being sang for a long time, you know, like by the fire, things like that. Yeah, so they told it to us. Interesting. I think we can go to the next question. Can we? Maybe that we can just because. Oh. But sure, if you are interested in the subject of slavery, of Islamic slavery, please apply. We definitely would like to integrate into the global research team, and we would like to go deeper into that subject, and of course, involve all of the people, because the Islamic slavery, as you write, is actually valid very much up until today. I'm just now going to the next question so that we can answer as many as we can what you're asking. By the way, our team member here is writing that the jihad is 36 times in the Noble Koran edition, Kafirs 345 times, but not always the completely same word. And usually the word calls on in the cause of Allah, which actually it's the practically the same as a jihad, right?
And there's a proof of that, by the way, that in at least one of the verses it says cause of Allah, and then in brackets next to it jihad, or the other way around, jihad and in brackets cause of Allah. So you can see that directly cause of Allah means jihad. So then this will increase the number and scope a great deal.
Also, I think it's important to know, somebody said to me that they used this, I think it was IBM computer to count all the words, this like supercomputer. It was sometime in history in the 90s. I read some article about it, or some other computer, some supercomputer, to count all of the words in the Quran, to prove that there is not a problem at all, because there are not like, there is not like too many negative words on the, based on the linguistic statistical analysis. Yeah, so it was searching for the words like war and words like different kind of those words. But many people, if you need to understand deeper the Quranic verses, because the cause of Allah can mean jihad, right? You can have those ones you possess of your right hand means the slave. But if you don't know that, this specific that this means this, it sounds poetic maybe, but if you would understand that the meaning is the slave, you cannot do a basic linguistic analysis based on the word count specifically connected to Quran, I mean, yeah, because then it just many things without the connections and understanding what's the meaning behind would slip.
But at the same time, we did actually do it for the Hadith. With this was a study we did on the Muslim Hadith collection, and the most used word by far was kill, and we checked, and it was not that do not kill. Yeah, it wasn't negative, so it was kill is the #1 word by far.
Hadiths are short stories, and this is, let's say, less poetic, and it's much more straightforward in comparison to Quran. But then you can use that. But you can, of course, do it with the Quran too. But you will miss out so many connections. So it will the outcome. You can do this, of course, the classical statistical analysis of the word count. But in the Quran, you will miss a lot. Yeah, from all of those words which are not explicitly written. There was actually a good question on here. It was the question about the Quran and how old it is, and the versions of Qurans, and if this is based on the carbon dating, or how the Quran was actually written in a sense, yeah, or based on the ink, or if you know something about this. Another question, this, let's say, similarity here is that if all of the Muslims are believing that Muhammad actually existed and lived. So this is actually interesting, because we speak now about that there is this question in the society, and many people try to prove it, that actually Muhammad never lived. This is one of the, let's say, ideas which is circulating, and also that the Quran was not coming from certain date and so on. Bill, you spoke about this, how to perceive the Quran, Sira, and the Hadith in the correct way. You know what I mean? That if you speak with people who try to say, but it never existed anyway, and things like that. This is what people many times hear.
First off, it doesn't really make any difference whether he lived or not. Muslims believe he lived. So I accept that hypothesis. Now, it turns out that there's no way for this to be true, because the city of Mecca did not exist when this Muhammad was supposed to be living. So the Quran itself was pulled together after Muhammad died, and it was by Uthman, one of the 4 rightly guided caliphs who did this. But in Muhammad's day, there was no Quran. He kept adding to it as he went along, and some of it was written down, some of it wasn't. It seems peculiar to me that the Quran is supposed to be from the very words of God, the only God of the universe. And yet it has so many problems with it, the contradictions, and also the fact of when it was written. Now, the Quran that we have today was a product of intellectual effort put forth, and I believe that it was 1980. No, 80, I don't remember the exact date, 1934 was when the Quran that we buy now, it's the official Quran. But there have been other Qurans as life goes on. The reason this is very important is Muslims insist that the Quran is completely perfect. Every apostrophe, I don't know if they use apostrophes in Arabic or not, but the smallest thing is completely true. There is not a single word in the Quran that is not true. Well, all you need to do then is produce some word in the Quran that's not true, and you've shattered the whole Quran, if you will. Now, of course, what Muslims love to do is to say, well, Bill, you don't understand the Quran at all, because the real Quran is written in the special Arabic that Allah spoke of Muhammad's day. Mm-hmm. But I ask yourself this, if the book is universal, how is it that an ordinary person can't read it and understand it? There's a contradiction there. Since it's a universal book, it should be able to be understood by everybody. By the way, the Muslims have a clever argument where one they see clever is that if you really understood the Quran, you'd become a Muslim. So the fact that you're not a Muslim means you don't understand the Quran.
That's again this. We lost Bill, right? Or don't we? Didn't we? No. Okay. This was almost like frozen, you know. Bill is always like he can always be totally like focused, and then always like sometimes I have the question like, are you online or not? Yeah. Yeah. But I think I was not the only one, was I? So we have the next question here. And again, it's about the same. Is there any proof that Muhammad lived? And it's coming always back to us that people are asking like, okay, the existence or non-existence of Muhammad, or the, let's say, dating of the Quran itself. And when it was written, it was 200 years after Muhammad, or it was in his time, it is irrelevant in a sense of protecting our civilization against the harmful influence of political Islam, because it is taken as solid by the Islamic civilization as the perfect texts being written and the perfect example of Muhammad. And therefore, we take it as it is. So we do not, with this argument, you would not come too far, because it will not change the thing. The thing is to accept the idea that the Islamic civilization believes that and work with that, because then you can really take the measures on the ideological way to prevent political Islam's domination over people's lives.
I have a very simple example to that, if I may.
Yeah, please.
I was thinking about it, and it's like, what comes to my mind, I mean, everybody goes to a shop and we buy something, yeah? So there is this contract of sale, right? And does it really matter that we know who invented this contract, this idea, this concept? I mean, it's still valid. You can go and buy, and it is valid. Yeah, there are results. There are legal consequences. So those questions about, okay, who invented it, what time was it, is for those academical freaks like me, of course, to know, and we can debate somewhere at the university level. But like on this like large scale, it's really like not relevant question. Yeah, it's like Bill answered. Yeah, it's what people believe in, what is socially accepted. That's the key. Yeah, because this is what people follow.
Yeah, so in the end, there's Quran, Sira, Hadith. It is there. You can read it, you can look at it, and it affects people's behavior. It has been doing for 1,400 years and does so today. Like Bill says, someone died today for Muhammad.
Mm-hmm. Why there are so many Western apologists for political Islam? Przemek, Joe, would you like to talk?
I'm wondering why so many. Yeah, again, I mean, probably. Yeah. Joe, yeah, please.
I would go back to my earlier answer. People do not want to. I mean, they see that they can either. They have two choices. They feel most people perceive that they have two choices. You can attack a religion, or you can attack some people. You think, goodness, no. So of course, you try to think about it some other way. And of course, on top, there's an organized effort, which is this dawah that Milan mentioned, to make different leaders, but also just generally the jihad of the pen, the jihad of speech, how how Islamic organizations represent themselves and so on. So there's both a lack of identifying the right cause. So you feel you can't, you have to say, well, no, come on. There's nothing wrong with people, and religion we can't touch. So for me, it's again this lack of being able to identify political Islam. And as soon as we do that, it becomes possible. As soon as you have a conversation with someone and say, no, this is political Islam, it's 51%, you will see a lot of the time the effect that suddenly you're able to talk about it. It's a relief. People are able to speak about it without fear. So this is, I feel like we're giving people a tool with which they can speak without fear. This is very, very important.
There's just addition from our team member who is writing in the chat that the dawah in the specifically Christian churches is often called dialogue meeting, or Islamic Christian dialogue meeting, where the dawah is being performed. So this is something to check it, but really DAWA, check it. It's usually very well described in many places, and that's actually what's happening in the churches, specifically in the Christian churches a lot. I'm sure that it is happening also in the Jewish community and other communities. So it's a systematic educational effort about to show from the Islamic perspective what actually Islam is, not mentioning most of the time political Islam aspects. And that's what we do. So what we need to do is the global education on the political Islam. And that's what CSPII is for. We have last minute. So I would not go into the new question. We are actually finishing. 1 hour is away. We managed for today. I would like to thank you all. And if you can still, I will run the chat right now for a certain moment, and please write us how you liked it. If you would improve something for the next time, or if you enjoyed it as it is, because we did it for the first time. So maybe if the format is right for you, and also if you liked it, just give us thumbs up. Yeah. And also, if you have any requests for the next time and so on, we'll be very happy for that. We're anyway taping it right now, so we will probably take part of it and cut it and make it as a newsletter, or put it as a one recording to the YouTube on Bill's channels and CSPII channels. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, CSPII, type it CSPII into YouTube and follow us. And if you would like to communicate with us, please, you can apply for becoming members of CSPII. Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you, Przemek. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you all of you for joining us. And sorry we couldn't answer all the questions. There were just too many. Thank you.
Keep them. We always keep them, and we try maybe to make some kind of. We always keep them, and let's see what we can make out of it. Yeah, maybe next time when we start, and we don't have so many questions here, we can start with the old ones, and then we can go into the new ones. Unfortunately, we were not able to read the long ones because they are usually like that from you. That's why I'm really asking to make it shorter, because then the question is very long, and I'm reading it very quickly because for the first time I see that. And I would like to be part of that event too, and then it's too long and it's very hard to do. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, really.
Thank you. See you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So you can still write, and I will still keep it 2 minutes running, okay? And goodbye to all. And text us whatever you think we should know.